today we have one of my dearest friends, Victoria, for as long as I've known her, even when we were 18, freshman year of college, has had such a poise and wisdom about her. She is one of the most intelligent, intellectual women I know, but that does not give her pride or keep her from connecting with people. So she's also one of the most fiercely loyal people I know. We met at SMU our freshman year of college, as I just mentioned. We were in a business fraternity together, so we are brothers in that way. We just experienced that time together. She was in Dallas for a little bit post grad, and we have some fun memories of that. Dallas ice storm. I went over to her apartment because they had power and I didn't, and we had a fun little impromptu sleepover in the middle of the week. And yeah, never forget. And what a time. And eventually made her way to California, where she got Master of Studies in Law. She'll give you a better overview of more about that. And now she works in law in business development. But like I said, always impressed with her. She has had wisdom even back to when we were 18. And I just felt like, how does this girl have everything together? Which, spoiler alert, no one ever has anything all together, but her wisdom and faithfulness and friendship has dramatically transformed my life. And she is also a high achieving woman seeking alignment, and thus is a perfect guest for our Sync Society podcast. I would love for Victoria to jump in and introduce herself, and also talk a little bit more about what led you to where you are today.
Yes. Well, goodness, I did not know that I was going to get that beautiful, warm introduction, but thank you,
Of
Kaylee.
course, of course.
So kind. And I do the same and hype up my girl, Kaylee. For those of you who are listening to the Sync Society, this is such an amazing opportunity for you guys to learn from Kaylee and to connect with women who are seeking alignment, who are ambitious and driven, and what that looks like in everyday life from an authentic perspective. So
Thank
I'm
you.
so excited for you. And listeners, you're lucky. This is the real deal. Kaylee is the real deal.
Thank you.
So, with that being said, yes, my name is Victoria, and I am currently in a business development marketing role at a big law firm. I
Big
know it's
law.
yes, big law life. I know it's a silly term, but essentially it's how you kind of differentiate some of those larger law firms that, for example, my law firm has over 3,000 lawyers. So we've got a big group of people, and I kind of came into this career path somewhat intentionally, but also somewhat not. I was always interested in both business and law. I grew up being in a house with my dad, who was a lawyer, and he was an in-house lawyer. And so I kind of knew what the legal field was like, but I also had dreams of being in the corporate world. And so when I went to SMU undergrad, I decided to pursue marketing and I did a joint minor in law and legal reasoning to kind of scratch that itch, if you will, of looking into the legal field. And after that, after graduating from SMU, I went into marketing. So I worked at a marketing firm called Epsilon, and I worked in loyalty and email campaign development. And that was a great way to build on my marketing skills. But when I graduated from SMU, there was definitely still drive in me. And I knew that I wanted to go to grad school. So I started looking into programs for joint MBA JDs. And I had always just been told if I was interested in business and law that that's what you do. You go and get a joint MBA JD. So I started looking into these programs, and this was also during COVID. So had quite a bit of time on my hands and was looking at these different programs and found what I ended up doing, which is a Master of Studies in Law. Some schools will call it a Master of Legal Studies, same but different. And it's designed for people who are interested in law but don't necessarily know if they want to be lawyers. And so it's a very diverse and variable degree, if that makes sense. You're able to apply it to a lot of different fields. We had folks who were in the program who were in real estate, talent managers, anything with contracts.
Mm.
So it was a really cool opportunity to learn more about what I could do within legal that wasn't being a lawyer. And I'll get into why maybe at some point during this podcast why I didn't necessarily decide to become a lawyer, but ended up using the Master of Legal Studies to get into my current career field. As I said, is legal business development and marketing, and more specifically, I work on RFPs, so requests for proposals. So just like any business, when lawyers are trying to get work, we have to pitch for it. And so a company will send out an RFP asking for several law firms to submit their pitches, and I help the lawyers put together those materials. So I was at one law firm in downtown Los Angeles before I started at this new law firm that I'm at, and I've been there for about 6 months, and it's been
Woo!
great.
We love new jobs.
Yes.
Victoria and I both had the pleasure of going through job changes in the past
Hmm.
year or so. You mentioned that you did not necessarily want to be a lawyer.
Yeah, I can
Sure.
definitely get
So
into.
what was going through your minds and as you were kind of making those trade-offs of what different degrees to pursue, whether or not to become a lawyer versus work in the legal field in general?
Hmm. Yes. So like I mentioned, my dad was a lawyer for 38 years and he was at the same company the whole time. And so I really saw his legal career growing up. And I was definitely interested in the subject matter, but I knew and kind of had heard and had seen in my own life that degree and profession is difficult and time consuming, and there are
Hmm.
things that you do have to give up. And for example, my dad was gone at the height of his career, he was gone about a week a month. And so he did such a great job wanting to be at, every dance performance and every extracurricular activity that he could. But
Yeah,
there was also this understanding that dad is gone to work. And so I think that was something that I kind of had in the back of my head. And when I went to USC, I wanted to check out if if I do really find this subject matter fascinating, is it going to be worth my time of investing, and traveling and doing these things in order to pursue this career? And I learned in grad school, okay, I am really interested in this. So what do I do about that?
yeah.
My next step after pursuing it academically was to pursue it in a career. And so I again went to work at a big law firm. I say that in air quotes for anybody who's just listening on audio. And I witnessed what the life of a lawyer actually looks
Hmm.
like. And for anybody who has watched Suits, I'm here to tell you that some of it is true, some of it's not true, right? Of course, on TV and film, it's going to be dramatized, but some of it's true. There is a running joke that some of the associates have couches in their offices because they're sleeping overnight in their office, and that's a real thing. There's a reality that I mean, now, obviously so much more is digital, but the file rooms in Suits, like in all these documents and all the confidential information, like we do have access to so much information, and protecting it is of vital
Super
importance.
important. Yeah.
So it was those kinds of things where it's like, man, this is so fascinating to me, but do I want to be sleeping at an office? Do I want to, be responsible for this level of privacy for a client or whatever it may be? And the last thing that I really noticed was, so lawyers have a JD, right? Juris Doctorate. And I tell people or describe it to people as lawyers are doctors, in the sense of lawyers are constantly on call. If a
Hmm.
client needs something, in the
Yeah.
same way that you go to a doctor in an emergency, a medical doctor, clients go to lawyers. That's their Juris Doctor, like
Yeah.
And so they are constantly online. And I think even at my previous law firm, people were praised for dropping what they were doing on Christmas Eve to and potentially being with their family to attending a client matter. And For me, as much as my work is important to me and as much as my career is a huge part of my life, there's a ranking of priorities, right?
Yeah.
And for me, my faith is number 1 and my family and friends are number 2. And for me, career is number 3. And so I made that decision knowing that I don't think I want to sacrifice those things in order to pursue this career. And that was hard because part of you can feel like, well, I'm not doing the full thing. I'm
Yeah.
not being the full corporate lawyer that I could be. But I've recognized, you know what, there are things in life that are more important to me. And I can still be ambitious and I can still be excellent in my career without having to be the most reputable, high paying lawyer in Los Angeles. Like,
Yes.
I'll be okay.
You will. Oh my gosh. No, snaps and claps, as I sometimes say. I obviously knew this was going to be a fruitful discussion, but we could stop here and
I know.
everyone would walk away better for it. You talked about faith, family, friends, and career being number three. That being said, that doesn't mean you aren't still wildly ambitious. And I know that spirit has been a part of your life and just kind of a part of who you are and who we both are
Mhm.
throughout, college, early post grad, and now we're in our late 20s. But how do you feel like that ambition or your overall priorities have evolved over time, like over those kind of different stages of life, if at all?
Really in college, which is funny because obviously that's when you and I met
Yes,
and we were kind of
ma'am.
at the height of it. I just wanted to climb. I just wanted to show people what I could do.
Yeah.
And I think that somewhat was an internal reflection of I felt the need to prove myself. I felt the need to go higher, dream bigger, do the dang thing. And as much as there's still that fire in me, and for Hamilton fans out there, I'm not going to waste my shot kind of energy, it can be channeled differently.
Yeah.
And I think that that's kind of what I've learned over the years. There's this kind of a good story I think that goes along with this. So when I was in college, when people asked me what I wanted to do, I said I wanted to be a CMO. I had this vision of I want to walk into a corporate building and go to the highest floor and say hello to the receptionist, Jenny, and then walk into my office.
Jenny or James.
Yeah, yeah, James
Doesn't have
as
to be a
well.
woman. Sorry if you're a
Sorry
James
if you're a
listening
James
to
or a
this.
Jenny. Jenny and James are like, what the heck? But anyway, and have this like, you know, exactly what you would imagine in the movies, right? Like corporate office overlooking the city and all these things. And when I got to Jones Day, I mean, that really was the environment. We were on the top floor and I did have an office and it was beautiful. And I remember my very first day I walked in and I was looking over the lunchroom, which overlooked the city and you could see everything. And I was way up there and I had this kind of moment where I felt like in some ways I had kind of made it. This is what I'm
Yeah.
working for. This is what I've been interested in. I've worked hard to be here. And it was this like, wow, this is so cool. And then soon after that moment, for those who maybe resonate with this, I personally have a faith. So soon after that moment, I felt like God kind of whispered to me, this isn't all.
Hey.
And I was like, okay, okay, I guess not. And he kind of showed me like, you have everything that you've wanted in your career right now. And it's still not worth it in the sense
Yeah.
of there are other things in life that are more important than this. And again, that's not to say that we can't prioritize our work or be excellent in our jobs, but I just had this moment of realizing you can't take it with you. Here on earth is here on earth. It is
Mm-hmm.
temporary,
Yeah.
and it's fleeting. And so, what does it look like to prioritize the things that actually matter to you? And so, I think that was a big moment for me where I just was like, okay, I am going to still be focused on my career, but also be focused on what's important. So I think to answer your question, long story long, I think I have learned what it looks like to actually prioritize what matters to me and to focus more on what I think is lasting and what I think is impactful, not just in the everyday, but long
Yeah.
term.
If someone's going through that stage of life, maybe speaking to the girl who is knocking out every accomplishment, has her dream job, but is still kind of feeling that feeling of, okay, like I made it. Now what? What are some practical tips or things that you could share that you
Mhm.
think that that woman would benefit from?
Yeah. So I focus a lot more, not what I'm doing, but who I'm with and who
Mm,
I'm becoming. Again, because I have a faith, I believe that everything happens for a reason. And so I don't think it's an accident that I am at this specific law firm, sitting next to these specific people, working with these specific
yeah,
individuals. And so I'm a lot more focused on where does God have me and how is he shaping me and molding me and how can I become a person that inspires that faith in other people and encourages them in that way. Because again, although I made the reference to lawyers being doctors and the Juris Doctorate thing, like, we're not saving lives here. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
this is not a life or death
yeah.
situation. So, zooming out has also been really helpful for me. I think when I was first starting my career, it would get so narrow focused in, and I'm sure we'll get into this as well, but making mistakes, I would hang on to them so tightly of I can't believe I made this one mistake or whatever it is. And I've realized again, I'm about to be 29, so it's not like I've got all of it figured out by any means. But I've learned that zooming out can really help in asking yourself, it's the cliche 5-year thing, right? Of is this really going to matter to me in 5 years? Like when
Yeah.
I look back, and this is a great example. I remember making one notable mistake when I was at my first marketing job. I cannot tell you 5 years later what that was about. I have
Mm,
no idea what I did. I know
yeah.
I was working on an email campaign,
Yeah.
but in that moment, it felt like everything. It
Yeah.
felt like I had completely
You ruined
dropped.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember my manager kind of giving me like a, it's going to be okay,
Yeah.
And I think it's important to try to prevent those things, like to do your work excellently, to establish policies or procedures or just steps in your own work to make sure that you're doing the best that you can. But I'm a lot more focused on reacting to my mistakes rather than preventing them now.
Perfectionism is something that I also struggle with because I think, why can't it just be perfect? Like, why can't I just do everything great, never make a typo? Every slide I ever make is the best thing. Every presentation I ever do is knocking it out of the park. So, for those of you, if maybe you're just listening and don't know my background, I was in consulting for 7 years. So, lots of presentations. I remember consistently getting really positive feedback and praise about my presentation style. And I think what was really helpful for me is oftentimes you were sharing your screen. And so the content is right in front of your face. And you have the little camera there, but it also doesn't necessarily feel like there are a bunch of people staring at you. And I was selected to present in front of this ginormous room of all the partners and all the people that made up part of this. So I was so excited. And I built the
Right.
slides and the content, and they handed me a microphone, which also kind of freaked me out because that's a lot different than just like I'm
Sure.
holding this microphone. That's new for me. I'm standing, ton of eyeballs looking at me, and the slides are behind me. And something about it just didn't translate in that moment. Was it the worst anyone's ever presented? No, I still think I did an okay job, but I remember the senior director and my closest mentor, one of the people that probably cares about me the most and really coached me during that time. Later that day, he said, "I'm sure you're aware of this. That wasn't the best I've ever seen you present, and I know you're better than that." And so what I would say for next time is just make sure you have that confidence and project. and it's okay to like take a deep breath and a pause, and I'm really confident in what you're going to do next time. And that was helpful for me also to see that even in the moment where I was not being perfect, it was like, hey, here's a couple tweaks and get them next time. And
Yeah.
I think in the moment when I walked away, I thought, oh gosh, I just blew the whole thing and everyone's gonna think our program's not as impactful as it really is. But that is not the case. And I had so many great conversations with people afterwards. So anyway, fact of the matter is, even though when I'm not performing up to my standards, which you can't possibly do that, so many different seasons of life where you
Right.
have different energy levels, kind of like I talked about different environments that are maybe newer for you, even if you're doing something that you've felt more confident in, if it's in a new environment or just for a new whatever, it could change you, throw you off a little bit. That's okay, and you can bounce back. I can remember it, but it didn't knock me down in terms of my confidence or my ability to know that I am still a strong presenter. And I did have some great presentations after that. And
Absolutely.
yeah, but it's just to your point, like it's this the standard of perfectionism is just entirely unrealistic. And I think even as high performing women, sometimes you think, yeah, for everyone else, but not me.
Mm,
And the fact of the matter is, we're all human. Mistakes are going to happen. That's okay. Just
yeah.
because you hold yourself to a high standard doesn't mean it won't happen, but I think it means that actually we need to give ourselves a lot more grace.
Yes. Yeah, that's actually something I learned about in therapy. There's a term for that, and I think it's actually called like the common grace standard or something like that.
Mm,
Of how often are you willing to say to someone else, you made a mistake, that's okay. Like, totally get it. We're human. There's forgiveness. Send grace there. But do you do that for yourself?
oh,
And that's
yeah.
way harder.
Whoa.
It's like mind blowing,
Yeah.
as someone who is a perfectionist and high achieving, it's so much more difficult to extend that to yourself. But I think over time, growth in that can be really beneficial.
Yeah. I feel like you kind of touched on this a little bit, but maybe what success looked like to you in the past throughout college or early stages of career has evolved over time. Is there a success metric that you used to have for yourself that you feel like you now just kind of don't worry about it?
It's funny because we were talking about this morning, but grades, I
Mm,
feel like when I was in school
yes.
were just they were so easy to hold on to of this number determines how valuable I am.
Yeah.
This number determines my intelligence level. This number determines my work ethic. This number determines where I'm going to go in my life. And obviously now I'm not at school. There's no way to
Yeah.
have a success metric in that way. But gosh, I stressed about grades in school and I
Yes.
don't really think that is necessary now. Obviously, again, I'm not in school anymore, so that kind
No.
of makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I think another success metric for me was what people thought of me. Do people think of me as high performing and high achieving? Do people see me as someone who can walk in and lead and take initiative and be the corporate baddie in the room?
Yeah.
And
Naturally.
although I still want to be that, I think I'm a lot less concerned of if other people see me that way and more concerned about, am I building the character of a leader? Am I willing to sacrifice as a leader would? Am I serving other people
Yeah.
above myself? Asking more of like those deeper character questions rather than these surface levels. Did I get that promotion? Did I get that salary bump? I think asking myself, is my character to the level that that promotion would require? Is my is my heart in the right place to take this on?
Mm.
Because if I take that on, I'm going to have to say no to something else.
Yeah.
And
That's good.
that is just not the way I used to think about success
No.
at all.
That's really interesting, and I love that perspective because I think, yeah, it kind of used to be the grades were such a great thing to hide behind. I distinctly have a memory, and I've talked about this with a few people recently. I remember there was some guy in college, he wasn't interested anymore. Why am I bringing this up? Because I remember in that moment I was talking to someone basically about like what a catch I am and like why would he let me go? But
She
I
is.
I was reciting out my resume
Hmm.
basically. I was like, why wouldn't he want to be with me? Because here's my resume. But the point of that story is I was putting so much of my worth and value into GPA, internships, being on executive boards in college, and all of those things are great, but I wanted them as a almost like some kind of armor that,
Yeah.
if someone is telling me that they don't want to date me or don't want to be my friend or whatever, well, they're lost because of my resume,
Mm.
which is so silly because now I feel totally different. I feel like I am myself as authentically and boldly as I can be, and I attract the right people into my life.
Yes.
Friendship or otherwise. There are so many people in my life who I don't even think they really even quite know what I do for work. They don't know my background. I'm not touting my GPA to
Hmm.
people now, but at the time, like it held so much weight. And I feel like you and I have both basically made ourselves sick over grades because the thought of not getting the grade that you wanted was so earth-shattering because
Hmm.
it was a reflection back of not being worthy or
Right.
not being good enough
Hmm.
versus now, like, what?
Right.
You know?
I know, like this idea of, oh, I didn't perform to the standard at which I wanted to. And I think so much of what you're talking about that it boils down to is identity. Where do
100%.
you find your identity? Do you find your identity in what you can produce, or do you find your identity in who you are or
Yeah,
whose you are from a faith background, right?
100%.
And so I think that all of these things around us are going to change. Circumstances are going to fluctuate. There are going to be factors that we can't control and predict. And at the end of the day, you have to go back to your identity and where it's founded. And if your identity is secure and confident, then despite what may be going on around you, whether you don't get that grade on that test, or if you don't get that promotion, or if you don't get that job, things are going to be okay because you go back to who you are. There's a lot of value in that, and that takes years to figure out, right?
Yes.
But it's worth growing in and investing in. I've talked to, senior level executives, vice presidents, high up lawyers. A lot of times they'll talk about working hard, but a lot of it was out of their control. It
Hmm.
happened to be that someone in that position left or for whatever reason, and the door happened to open for them to be able to step into it. And like you can try to make sure that your pedigree is up to the utmost standard, but at the end of the day, if the door doesn't open, the door doesn't open. And are you going to be okay with that? And that's a hard question to ask, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will ask you. I didn't, by the way, I did not prep Victoria for this at all, and it just kind of came to me. But just some rapid fire,
Sure.
more fun questions. Okay, so one rapid fire question
Yeah.
is what is a book that you think everybody should read and why?
I mean, if I'm going classic business, How to Win Friends and Influence
Yeah,
People by Dale Carnegie,
my dad loves that
it's a
book.
good one. Kaylee and I have a shared love for the book Every Good Endeavor.
It's literally,
Yeah, it's gonna be in the frame, folks. It's on
it's right here, and it is
people.
it. She is tattered. For those who can see it,
Yes.
she's tattered.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, if you want to talk about being excellent in work, I think Timothy Keller, from a faith perspective, I would say does it
Yeah,
best.
incredible.
So those would be for our Synced Society girlies and
Yeah,
men, of course. If
of
you're out there,
course. I
I don't know. Are
don't know.
they
They could be. They could. They could. They could. They could.
hopefully maybe they're supporting their like partner or
Okay,
something,
period. I hope
Let's
you
go.
are. Let's go.
James, are you still there?
James. Maybe James is listening.
James dropped. James dropped when I missed the selfness.
Absolutely.
Anyway, those are two books that I would definitely recommend.
Need to collect myself. Okay. I think we are also mutual supporters and proponents of sometimes you need a dance party
Oh,
mood boost.
please.
What is
Yes.
your go-to dance party song?
I do love Dance the Night Away by Dua Lipa.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
It's a
yeah, like from
great
the
song.
Barbie movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one. But Kaylee knows that I am still, for those who also connect with this, I'm still a
I
believer.
was gonna say
I've
Beebs.
been here
She's been
for
around
a
the block.
long time, okay? Like, had the
Yes.
pillowcase of his face in
Yep.
college,
I remember
wrote
that.
to Oprah to get on the show to meet Justin Bieber. Like, that was the level that we're at, and we're still
Yes.
there. I'm
We
gonna be bumping Justin Bieber probably till my 70s, I think.
do you have a favorite song of his?
Gosh, don't
Okay.
I just kidding. Um,
It's like trying to pick a favorite child.
I mean, yeah, truly. I mean, it depends if you want to go. My favorite album is Purpose.
Yeah, it's a good
It's
one.
just
Yeah.
too freaking good. But favorite song, I mean, throw it back to one time
I was gonna
or
say that.
less
Yeah, yeah,
lonely.
yeah.
Like, I mean,
Those are
I'm
good.
not above some old,
Like Eenie
yeah,
Meenie, Baby,
Justin.
Boyfriend. Yeah.
Yeah,
Those are good
love.
ones. I took a solid core class recently that was Justin Bieber through the ages. We were doing for solid core girlies, we were doing the carriage lunge, which gets pretty tough,
Yeah.
and Never Say Never was going.
Oh,
And I was like, why do I kind of like I feel like I'm
say
ready to
less. Like,
box up right
I
now.
run
I'm more
it
motivated than I've ever been before.
truly. And in case Justin does see this, if there is ever an Eras tour, a Justin Bieber Eras tour, I will be there.
Do love him. I saw him. I remember like I like put on I don't know. I was like prepubescent or something. But I like put on body glitter like in
Oh,
case he like
mm,
saw me in the audience. Well, to be fair, he was doing One Less Lonely Girl, I think.
yeah,
So like
so
I
it
was
could have
like,
been any of us.
okay. And we're not that far apart in age, also to be fair.
Right. You have to be prepared
He
in
was
case
also
you,
basically prepubescent at the time. But and then I saw the Purpose tour, which was so
yeah,
cool.
cry every time I see him.
I don't blame like he's an extremely talented
Yeah.
man. Okay.
Oh,
Last rapid fire question before the wisdom drop is what is something other than Justin Bieber that you are obsessed with right now?
I love, and it's actually a nod back to the book question. I'm a big
Oh,
public library enthusiast, and so that's not a new thing, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
something that I am obsessed with. I think
Okay.
everybody should have a library card,
I do
personally.
have one and I just haven't need to go get some books.
I just like it because you can read it before you buy, you know? Like,
Yeah,
what if you buy the book and then you don't like it? I mean, I guess
it's
you could sell
happened.
it. Yeah,
I
true.
should take that risk sometimes.
Yeah, you can like give it away and stuff. You can share it with people. Those are all good things, but I like the library. So anyway, big public library and for those who don't have a library card.
Hashtag sustainable.
Yeah, I would get one.
Support your public library. Okay.
Love.
Fabulous. Last but not least, it is time for the wisdom drop. So, what is something that you would like to share to, I mean, you know who's listening, right?
Yes.
It's girls just like us, sing society. So, what is one piece of wisdom that you would like to leave our Sing Society community with today?
Yes. Okay, so the Sync Society girl listening is probably ambitious, driven, right? We've talked a lot about that in this podcast and high performing, high achieving. I would say two things. One, don't be ashamed of it. I believe that we are all created in different ways, in unique, beautiful ways, and we do need people who are ambitious and driven, and it's not something to be ashamed of. At the same time, I think going deeper and asking yourself, where is that ambition coming from and where is that grit or desire to climb coming from? And you might be surprised what's underneath. I think for me, there was a lot of, again, when I was kind of younger and figuring this all out, there was a lot of people pleasing. There was a lot of perfectionism. There was a lot of, I need to show that I can work hard enough to get what I want. And what I've learned is I don't need to exhaust myself to prove myself because I know what my identity is and I know what matters to me and I know who I am. and whose I am. And so that is something that I would leave you with of it might not just be this kind of surface level ambition, like there might be other things underneath that are really driving you, and don't be afraid to explore and dig deeper to figure out what those things are so that you can grow into an aligned, balanced human being who maybe loves the corporate baddie life, but is also good with taking a rest day every once in a while. It's important. Nothing's worth your health, nothing's worth your sanity. The world will keep turning. Take a deep breath and keep going.
Period. Thank you, Victoria. I always have so much fun talking to you. So I hope
Yes.
that the girlies listening really were able to see just the first of all, the power and strength of our friendship and how we've grown together over the years and just were able to glean some wisdom and some laughs
Yeah.
throughout the time from your from your fellow ambitious corporate baddie girlies who like to rest, who
Yes.
are trying to find alignment. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.